Today we're going to take a look at the area of the shoulders, the upper back and the neck. So we're in the fourth week of our series about the musculoskeletal system, and we've been looking at bones, how we can maintain bone density, how we can keep the joints mobile, and we're also focusing on the muscles that move the bones. So, of course, muscles move the bones. They're attached to bones by tendons. Bone attaches to bone by ligaments. Ligaments aren't meant to be stretched. They are there for stabilizing the joint. Muscles can tend to sometimes get tight. We can have muscular imbalances, which can take a joint out of its ideal alignment. And of course, joints do move out of their ideal alignment. We move when we turn around. They're meant to have this movement. But of course, when there's chronic muscular tension in one area of the body, so for instance, in the upper body that we're looking at, the pattern often shows up as a tight chest, and I'll show you from the side, because the tight chest muscles will tend to draw the shoulders forward. And if we're looking forward, as we often do, maybe we sit at the computer, the back gets round, the back of the neck gets tight. So we have tight chest, tight back of the neck, and this can put pressure on the cervical spine, your neck. And then coupled with that, often there's weakness around some of the shoulder muscles and also the deep flexor muscles. So we're looking at movements to release the chest muscles, release the neck, and particularly focusing on strengthening the back of the shoulders there today. We're going to start from standing, and we just want to notice our posture, because of course when we stand or sit, we're sitting in this position for a while, we might not be aware of how we stand or sit. And we might find that maybe the head draws forward, especially if we do have to sit at a computer a lot in our day, and we're not aware of it until it might show up as some pain in the body. There can be compression on the nerves in the neck, which then leads to referred pain down into the shoulders, into the arms. So we're looking really to see how we can address all of this. But it all starts from awareness. So if we're not aware of it, we can't change it. So let's close the eyes for a moment. You're just standing, and you're standing casually. You're standing in your normal stance. We're not trying to go into any particular position like mountain pose or Tadasana. And you're just finding a comfortable place so that you feel your feet on the floor. And you can close the eyes for a moment. And let's just sense where we feel the weight in the feet. So maybe we have more weight in the toes or the heels, or more weight in one foot or the other, or on the inner or outer edges of the feet. Just try to recognize that. Position of the feet can have a knock-on effect up through the rest of the body. And then from there, just notice your pelvis. And try and notice the hips. So your hips are where the thigh bone goes into the hip socket. You might feel one feels higher than the other, or maybe drawn further forward, or maybe it feels like the pelvis is tipping forward, so the tailbone sticks out, or maybe the tailbone tucks. And then notice the level of the shoulders. Do the shoulders feel like they're drawn forward, chest sinking in? Do the shoulders feel like they're drawn back? And then when that happens, the back muscles tighten, the head pulls back. So you just notice this. And then notice the position of the head. Does the head feel like it's drawn forward, pulled back, maybe a little bit tipped to the side? So when we can start to notice how we stand, also noticing where we might habitually hold tension in the body, we can then address that. So the pattern of head forward, the forward head position, when we're at the computer or driving, or maybe we just sit, is called the upper cross syndrome. So as I was saying, the neck and pectoral muscles get tight, and there's weakness in some of the shoulder muscles, stabilizing shoulder muscles and deep flexors of the neck. And so we're going to just for a moment see how our pelvis affects that position of the head. So you might want to bring the hands to the side of the pelvis so you can feel the pelvis moving. And if you just look out to the horizon, so you're just looking at eye level, and you just let your tailbone tuck under, so you tip the pelvis back into a posterior pelvic tilt, and notice how, you can also have the arms down by the side, notice how this brings you into that forward head posture. And we're doing it to recognize that. So we recognize that. We want to make it clear to us, that position. So you might find the tummy muscles tighten. You might find it affects your breathing. You might find the shoulders come forward, the chest is sunk, and the back of the neck is a little bit tight. So let's be aware of that. Now let's come out of that, and we're going to bring the pelvis back to neutral. And then we're going to go the other way by tipping the pelvis into a forward pelvic tilt, so the tailbone sticks out. And notice how, if we're in this position, the shoulders will draw back, the back muscles tighten up, the back of the neck lengthens a bit excessively. And sometimes we might stand like that, like standing to attention. Like we're trying to stand up straight, but we overdo it. So ideally, we're trying to find a kind of halfway place where we're just in a neutral position. So we get that nice plumb line through the center of the body. Okay, so we're going to come to the floor now. So if you just bring yourself to lying down and take a moment to settle. So let's see how this all feels when we're lying down on the floor. So you can either have the legs straight or the knees bent, arms just by the side, and taking this moment just to sense again into your body, just to notice what you feel here. So we're just sensing where the head meets the floor, and then we want to notice the position. So where does our head actually meet the floor? Where's that contact with the head and the floor? Is the weight coming through the center of the head, or a little bit more to the left or right, or to the upper back of the head? And just notice that. Sense into the back of the neck. Sensing into the upper back. And in the back of the neck, you might notice how deep is that space? How deep is the curve in the neck? So how big is the space between the neck and the floor? And then notice in the upper back, how much of your upper back meets the floor? How much of your thoracic spine meets the floor? Notice the shoulders. Where do the shoulders come in contact with the floor? Do they feel like they're almost lifted off the floor or pressed into the floor quite firmly? Or maybe one feels flatter to the floor than the other. And notice the arms. Do the palms turn inwards? Do the palms face downwards toward the floor, or do the palms turn outwards? Notice your lower back, notice the space in the lower back. And sensing the back of the pelvis on the floor. Notice where you feel the weight going through the back of the pelvis. And then sensing where your legs meet the floor. Okay, so the pattern of forward head position can often be contributed by the abdominal muscles. So the abdominal muscles contribute to that position, I should say. So we're going to work with a few pandiculating movements to contract, slowly release muscles in the center and then around the shoulders as well. And we're going to start by just tipping the pelvis backwards. So like when we were standing and we tucked the tailbone under and the pelvis moves back into a posterior pelvic tilt, your lower back flattens to the floor, and hold it there for a moment so you can feel the abdominal muscles contracting. Can you feel that? Maybe even use your fingers to feel that. You also might notice that it tips the head back slightly, and then let that slowly release. So try that again. So you're going to flatten the lower back to the floor. You're trying to press the lower back into the floor. Try and feel the abdominal muscles contracting. So they contract from, or they're attached from the pubic bone to your lower ribs. Feel that contraction. And notice how, as the lower ribs get pulled down, the upper back ribs lift, and then due to gravity, the head just tips back. And then we let that release. Try that one more time. So the lower back flattens, the abdominal muscles contract, that's your rectus abdominis, the head tips back a little bit, and then we release it. Okay, so let's go the other way. So this time we're going to arch the lower back. So when we're standing, we stuck the tailbone out behind us, so we're going to do the same thing, and we arch the back. It's like we're pressing the tailbone into the floor, so now the back muscles contract. And notice what happens in the back of the neck. You might find the back of the neck lengthens, and then you let that release. So you arch the back by rolling the pelvis forward, tailbone presses into the floor, back of the neck lengthens, and then we let that release. Let's try that one more time. Try and sense the connection between movement of the pelvis and movement of the head as well. And then allow that to release. Okay, so let's go 3 times moving in and out of that position. So we're going to start by pressing the lower back into the floor. So flattening the lower back, feel the tummy muscles will tighten, the head will tip back a little bit. Allow that to release, and then arch the lower back. So the back muscles tighten up, the belly muscles release, and the back of the neck lengthens, head tips forward slightly. And then you're again pressing the lower back into the floor. Notice how one side of the center of the body contracts, and that's the abdomen. The other has to release, so the lower back muscles release. And then as you release the abdomen and the lower back contracts, we get this nice lengthening through the front of the body. One more time. Notice again the movement of the head. Okay, so come back to the neutral position. Let's add an arm movement with that. So it's called cactus arms. We're going to take the arms wide, bending the elbows, turning the palms to face down toward the bottom of the mat. So the elbows roughly in line with your shoulders. And we're going to start by flattening the back to the floor, keeping the elbows where they are. And we bring the palms of the hands towards the floor. They might not touch the floor, but towards the floor, beside the waist. Notice how the shoulders will come off the floor. The back of the neck will just contract a little bit. Make sure that's comfortable though. So if that's not comfortable, just don't go as far. And then you release back to center. So now we're going to arch the back. And as you arch the back, bring the back of the hands towards the floor. And that will be kind of at the level of the top of the head. And then again, we bring the hands up, come back to neutral, we flatten the back, the forearms come forward, the palms of the hands pressing towards the floor, and then you let that release. And as you arch the back of the hands come towards the floor. Okay, see how that goes, and remember that we always want comfort. So whatever you do, you want to maintain absolute comfort in your movements. Notice what your breath is doing here as well. Keep the breath flowing. Last one now. Okay, and then we're going to let the arms relax for a moment. Just take a little pause. Just see how that feels around the neck. You might even let the head just gently turn from side to side. All right. So then from there, we're going to work a little bit more with the chest muscles. So let's reach the right hand up toward the ceiling. And we're going to see if we can then and feel the back of the shoulder on the floor here. So you've got the right arm raised up, but the back of the shoulder is still on the floor. And we're going to reach up a bit higher so the back of the shoulder comes off the floor. And then we're going to internally rotate the arm. That means rolling the arm in an anti-clockwise direction. You could use your left fingers to feel what's going on in your right chest. And then unwind the arm back to the center, bring the shoulder back towards the floor, onto the floor. And then reach up again and then externally rotate the arm. So that's the arm rolls in a clockwise direction now. Release back to neutral, let the back of the shoulder come down, reach up, internally rotates anti-clockwise here, release, reach up, externally rotate. You might even find your head wants to move a little bit with this. And as you're doing it, just notice, do the muscles at the side of the waist want to get involved? And if they do, that's good, because we're connecting that movement of the arm and shoulder to the center of the body. So as you reach up and internally rotate the arm in anti-clockwise direction, you might find the left side of the waist contracts a little bit. You release, and then as you reach up and externally rotate the arm, the right side of the waist contracts. Try that one more time each way. You're feeling what's going on in the chest on the right side. Okay, and then let's relax the two arms down for a moment just to see if we feel any difference in the two arms. So of course, when we rotate the arm like that, we're working with the rotator cuff muscles as well. Okay, so we might sense a bit of a difference. Now let's try that on the other side. So left arm raises. We reach up a little bit higher, so the chest muscles contract. You roll the arm in. You might find the right side of the waist contracting. Maybe that doesn't happen yet. Don't worry too much about that. Release it. And then left arm reaches up. You roll the arm out. And maybe we find the left side of the waist contracts a little bit. And then you release. And then you just go from one to the other. And if there's no movement in the center yet, that's okay. Just be aware of that. You might find gradually that your center of the body starts to move. So it's hip will come up towards shoulder on one side, here on the right as we internally rotate the arm, and then as we externally rotate the arm on the left. Let's try one more time each way. All right, fantastic. Let's allow the arms to completely relax. So just let the arms just be nice and heavy on the floor. Notice how that feels around the chest, around the back of the shoulders. You might even find that the back of the shoulders lie on the floor more freely. Okay, so just a couple more. So we're going to work with pandiculating the back muscles a little bit. So here, if you bend the elbows again, forearms, fingers pointing up toward the ceiling, but then take the elbows a bit wider, not too wide though this time, not too wide, about 45 degrees. And as we press the elbows into the floor, notice how the back arches, but feel the muscles in the back. So there'll be a combination there of latissimus dorsi, big broad muscle in the back, attaching from your arm bone into the back, going down the mid and lower back, and then you let that release. And sometimes that can get tight, you know, and then that can prevent a full range of movement in the arm when we go into flexion. So we'll just work with that a little bit. Press the elbows, feel those back muscles contract, and then slowly release it. Let's try that one more time. So you press, it'll naturally make your back arch. Feel that contraction, and then slowly release. Relax the arms for a moment. All right, good. So one more for those back muscles and shoulder muscles here. If we take the arms, actually we're going to take the arms wide and then see if you can just slide the arms a bit further behind you. and so that they might, some of you might find the arms a little bit off the floor, in which case maybe, you know, raising the arms might help a little bit. But actually we're going to bring some movement in here. So you're from here with the arms wide. If you were looking at yourself from above, the figure would look like a, you know, like a capital Y shape. And then what we're going to do is we're going to slide the elbows in towards your lower back, so letting the elbows bend and letting the back arch. And again, we'll work a little bit into those big muscles in the back, and then release that, slide the arms out from that starting position back to the starting position, and you can try and flatten the back as you do that. So your elbows slide in. You might find the forearms come off the floor. That's okay, just stay comfortable. Arms slide out, lower back flattens, head tips back slightly. Slide the elbows in towards the lower back arch, and then let it release and slide the arms out and flatten the lower back to the floor. Let's try that one more time. Okay, great. Good. And then relax the arms by the side. Okay, so one more here, and we're going to go into a little bit of rotation. So just sensing how that feels though before we do that. And then we're going to take the arms wide. So we're going to get rolling of the arms again. So if you've been watching the other videos, we've done this movement before. It's called the wash rag. So we're just going to go straight into it. So in a moment, I'll be telling you to roll one arm down. So it'll be your right arm first. So that means you're internally rotating the arm until the shoulder lifts. And the opposite arm is rolling outwards or upwards, external rotation, and that press into the floor. So they'll be going in opposite directions. Okay, so let's take the knees to the right. So feet about hip width, knees to the right, head to the left. Right arm rolls downwards or inwards, left arm rolls upwards or outwards. Draw the knees back to center. Feel the muscles involved in that at the waist. Palms come back up. Knees to the left, head to the right. Left arm rolls inwards, right arm rolls outwards or upwards. And then coming back to center. Feeling the effort in the muscles around the waist that are lowering the knees to the side and then drawing the knees back up to center. Knees to the right, right arm rolls down, head to the left, left arm rolls up. Knees to the left, left arm rolls down, head to the right, right arm rolls up. Inhale to center, exhale to the side, knees to the side, head to the side. Inhale to center and exhale the other way. All right, lovely twisting movement there. Let's just relax out now. Let's straighten out the legs and see how we feel. And just take a few moments there. Okay, so just while we're here, let's get some movement into the toes and ankles and the hips. So we can bring both feet back up, take hold of the knees, flex and extend the toes, flex, extend. Take that movement into the ankles, forward and back, up and down, circle it, circling round. And then going the other way. Bring the left foot to the floor, right hand on right knee, try circling the knee around the right knee. And then if you want to take that a bit bigger, you let go of the hand and you take the knee in a bigger circle. And you might even straighten out the leg as you do that. So you're getting a nice big hip circle here, and then going the other way, hip circumduction. And of course the knee is getting some movement, isn't it? All right, so let's bring that leg down, that foot down, and we'll take hold of the other knee, so left hand on left knee. You could circle round, so maybe it feels like we want to just hold the knee and do that to begin with. Maybe we can go a little bit bigger with that. You might have to straighten out the right leg as you do that, taking the left knee around in a circle, and only as comfortable as you can make that, so you don't have to go to the full range if that creates any back issues or problems in the hip, and go the other way. All right, so let's just straighten out the legs, so finally just see how we feel after all that. Okay. All right, so at each stage we're noticing what changes, what feels different. So we're always constantly trying to improve awareness of our body. So we'll bend the knees and we're going to roll to one side, and we'll push ourselves upright so that we come for a moment onto all fours, and we'll work with a little bit of spinal movement. So just when you get there, hands below shoulders, knees below hips, and then we're going to flex and extend and flex and extend. Okay. So now we're going to try some rotation. So let's bring the left fingertips to the center of the chest so that we're not actually moving the elbow or the arm here, but we're going to turn the chest and the head to the left. So the fingers on the chest just help us to recognize the chest moving here, and we're getting some nice spinal rotation. Keep the breath flowing. Okay, let's swap over. So right hand to chest, and we're just turning chest to the right and then back to center. Okay, now we're going to try something else. So this is now going to work a little bit with waking up the lower trapezius muscle. So it goes from your shoulder blade into the back to the spine, and you're going to take the left hand just lightly touching the back of the head, but keeping the head and the chest still for this one. So without moving the head or chest, see if you can just bring the elbow up and back slightly. You probably feel this around the back of the shoulder blade going down into the back, and then let it release. And lift the elbow. So this muscle here, the lower trapezius, can often be underused. And that could be from lack of just movement, lack of awareness. And it can contribute to that forward head position. Swap over the hands. So here mostly just waking up the muscle a little bit. Let's take the right fingers behind the head, and you're just letting the elbow lift and lower and lift and lower, lift and lower. Okay, now bring the hand down, take a little pause in a resting position, child's pose, or any other comfortable position for yourself. All right, and then we're going to come up to standing. So if you bring the hands in, bring yourself upright. You could try taking, come to kneeling, taking 1 foot forward, ideally without using the hands, toes tuck under the back, at the back, and we press and come up to standing. All right, so now we're going to focus a little bit more on the upper trapezius. So we've had a bit of chest releasing, pectoral muscles, and we'll focus on upper trapezius now. But just before we do that, let's just check and see if anything feels different in our posture. So maybe close the eyes again and just quickly noticing where the weight goes in the feet. Notice the position of your pelvis, the level of the hips. Notice the level of the shoulders. Are the shoulders still drawn forward or drawn back, or do they feel a bit more central? And then notice the position of the head. Is the head more forward, pulled back, or to the side? Or are we feeling a little bit more central? So the position where the head comes out of that ideal alignment, not only affected by muscles in the upper body, but also it could be affected by the center as well. So we join in movements there, shoulders with movements in the center as well. So let's focus on the upper trapezius now. So we're gonna just focus on the right arm. So I'll do this kind of with you, working with my right arm, and you're going to bring your right shoulder up towards your right ear, bringing the ear towards shoulder. Feel that contraction. It's a shortening of the muscle, concentric contraction. And now as you slowly release it, it's called eccentric contraction. The muscle's still held in contraction, but it's lengthening. And you're seeing how smoothly you can release that. Make sure it releases completely until there's no effort left. And then draw the shoulder up, ear towards shoulder, and slowly release it. Sometimes closing the eyes can help. Make sure you keep releasing, keep releasing, keep releasing. And then try it again. Shoulder up towards the ear, ear towards shoulder, squeeze. Slowly release, lengthen, let the shoulders sink all the way down. One more time. Okay, so that's working with upper trapezius. Now already the two shoulders might feel a bit different. These muscles can get very tight, so from your neck to the top of the shoulder, because if the head is drawn forward, the weight of the head is now, instead of going down through your body, through the spine, it's kind of hanging forward, and the weight's going straight down, and these muscles are gripping to really hold, to hold that head in that position. So let's work a little bit more with what's called levator scapula now. So this will go from the shoulder blade up into the side of the neck. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to turn the head to the left. So we're still working with the right shoulder, turning the head to the left. We're going to look up, and we're going to draw the shoulder up towards the base of the skull on the right there. And then let that slowly release, and the head can come back to center. So these have to be done quite slow. Turn the head to the left, look up. Draw the right shoulder up toward the base of the skull, and then release everything nice and smoothly if you can, and back to center. Now try externally rotating the right arm. And this will have a slightly different feeling, turning the head to the left, looking up, and drawing the shoulder up towards the base of the skull again. Keep it easy, keep it soft. And release. Let's try that a couple more times. Right arm rolls outwards, head turns to the left, you're looking up, bringing the shoulder up towards the base of the skull. Slow release. If there's any jerkiness there, just be aware of that. In somatic movement, we call that sensory motor amnesia. Your brain can't really sense what's going on, so the motor control is not well developed. So the head turns to the left, right arm rolls out, looking up, bringing the shoulder up towards the base of the skull, and a nice, slow, long release. Keep releasing, keep releasing. Come back to center, close the eyes for a moment, notice the two shoulders, notice the two sides of the neck. Now it might feel that you've got way more space between the shoulder and neck on the right side than the left side. So let's do the other side. So left shoulder draws up, left ear towards left shoulder, shoulder towards ear, and then slowly release it. Keep releasing until it's completely released, and then just draw the shoulder up, and then bring the ear towards shoulder, and then nice and slowly release it. And it might go further than you think. So you think you've relaxed it, but then it goes a little bit further. That's what we want. Try again. Go one more time. All right, so let's work with levator scapula. So actually already the two shoulders now might feel a little bit more balanced. But we're going to turn the head to the right, look up, shoulder up towards the base of the skull, so now shoulder toward the left back of the skull, and then release everything and come back. Turn the head to the right, look up, left shoulder toward the base of the skull, squeeze, and slowly release it. Let's try it one more time. Turn the head, look up, squeeze, and slowly release it. Okay, now roll the left arm out, external rotation, turn the head to the right, look up, draw the shoulder up, slow release. Everything kind of recoils back to center. Arm rolls out, so that's your left arm, head to the right, you're looking up, shoulder towards towards the base of the skull. Nice slow release. Let's try that one more time. Keep it reasonably gentle here. Back to center. Notice both sides of the neck now. Should be feeling a little bit more balanced out. All right, so good, and let's just try a little bit of shoulder rolling there. All right. And then go the other way. All right, good. So let's try this whole body movement. So it's our reaching up, side bending movement. So now the shoulder's a little bit more mobile, so let's do connect the shoulder and arm movement with the center of the body. So hands at about shoulder height. So as your right hand reaches up, your right hand reaches up, your left heel lifts, left hip hikes up. And so we're shortening through one side, we're lengthening through the opposite side, and we come back. Notice what's going on in your shoulder blade. And we reach up on the other side and come back. So as one arm reaches up, opposite heel lifts, opposite hip lifts. And we're just going from side to side like this. So now the shoulder blade should be a little bit more free. Okay then. Bring the arms down, turn the toes out. Now let's try reaching up and across. So right hand reaching up and across the left, so back heel lifts. And coming back, and left hand reaching up and across the right. So you're noticing now that movement in the shoulder blade. So we've worked quite a lot with all the muscles around the shoulders. We're going to do a little bit more. And here, of course, joining in that movement with the whole body movement here now. Because usually our arm movements are obviously connected to whole body movements. When we move the arms, often we're reaching for something, or whole body moves. Come back. Okay, and then another one here, just to work a little bit more with the muscles from the chest. Let's say the right chest going across the abdomen to opposite hip. And this is something you could do on the floor as well, but it can be nice to try it in standing. You're going to let your right arm roll inwards. So let's do this slowly. And as the right arm rolls inwards, the shoulder comes forward. Feel that contraction. Now, bend your left knee and you allow your hip to lift and come forward slightly, as though we're taking shoulder and opposite hip towards each other. So there's a diagonal contraction. And now let that release, let it unwind, and allow the arm to just reach out. So now lengthening from shoulder or armpit to opposite hip. Arm comes in, rolls in, the opposite knee bends, heel lifts, so you can get that hip hiking up, and then expanding out. So really opening nicely. And then rolling in and expanding out, lengthening. So as you roll the arm in, the opposite heel lifts, the knee bends, the hip comes up. As you take the arm out, the heel comes back to the floor, the leg straightens and the arm reaches up. So we're just kind of reaching out, opening up through the front. Let's try that on the other side. So your left arm will roll inwards. You can just let the left arm roll in. Notice how the shoulder comes forward. Bend the right knee. Let the hip lift and draw in slightly. So shoulder and hip move towards each other. There's a nice contraction going across the abdomen, up into the chest. Now let that release. Roll the arm out, just as though you're reaching out behind you a little bit. So nice and open now through the front. So we're trying to open through the, contract through the front of the body here. So pandiculate those muscles, and it means contracting, slowly releasing. The brain learns how to actually allow those muscles to lengthen to their full resting length. So one or two more times. Okay, last one. Great, come back to center. Good, so let's try a little bit of shoulder rolling. No, opposite shoulders. Let your hips move with this. You could try taking the arms in a big circle, because ultimately, again, we want that full range of movement in the arms. But, of course, when you move the arms, again, the center of the body moves. So allow the center to move. Allow the center to move. Right, now go the other way. So we'll start with the shoulders, 1 and 2. Feel how your whole body moves with this, and then you can take the arms in big sweeping circles. Feel the movement through the whole body. That's great. So, good. Shake out the hands a little bit. You might like to shake out the feet a little bit. Have a soft turn here now. You can look around behind you as you do that. So this is really nice if you can really allow your arms to be completely relaxed here. You get this lovely turn through the body. Okay, so let's we'll come to just mountain pose. So feet are about hip width, and again, notice your posture. Maybe again, there's a little bit of a sense of being more upright. And when we are a little bit more upright, the chin just retracts a little bit, not excessively, but just a tiny bit. So feel as though if you put your finger on your chin, you're just pushing back a tiny bit so that the back of the neck lengthens, but not too much. And when we are in our various yoga poses that we might do, sometimes the back of the neck can compress. We take the arms out, and if the shoulders muscles are tight around or the chest muscles are tight upper trapezius, it rolls the arms in, and then the back of the neck shortens. So, and then we take that into things like warrior pose. So let's see if we can keep a nice long back of the neck, nice space between the base of the skull and the back of the neck. And then take the arms, let's just bring the arms up, and we're going to take the elbows wide. Now from there, ideally there's no tension building up in the upper trapezius. We're going to take the arms out and let's roll the palms up. Now if you actually just for a moment turn the thumbs down, notice how your shoulder will tip forward, roll forward, and the back of the neck will shorten. Yeah, so aware of that. Now turn the palms up, shoulders roll back, and the chest is more open, and the neck, if you look around left to right, should feel nice and free. Now you could keep the inner elbows pointing up and turn the palms down, And we want to feel this engagement around the back of the shoulders, not in the top of the shoulders, not in the pectoral muscles so much. Top of the shoulders will be between the neck and the shoulder, but also you will feel this, the deltoid muscles are working at the top of the arm. But feel it around the back of the shoulders. Feel that contraction. So you might explore turning the palms up again to really feel that. And then when you need to, just rest the arms down. Okay, so if we come to one end of the mat, we'll take that into our warrior two. So we're going to start from our mountain pose as much as we can sense we're nice and upright. And we're going to shift the weight to the right foot, left foot steps back. And then from here, just checking that alignment with the front leg. So this, we've looked at all this already. So in previous classes in this series, hip knee ankle lines up. Now all this, of course, great for finding stability in the ankles, getting some movement into the hips, and taking some forces through the hip joints to try and help maintain bone density. Now once you've found a comfortable position for your legs, we're just going to take the hands to the side of the chest, if that works for you, and just let the chest turn a little bit to the left and back to center. And it helps you to identify the rotation in your spine. So most of that's coming from your thoracic spine. It's not much. Be 35 degrees maybe. But does your knee move with that? So if your knee drops in, try and keep the legs steady and just let the chest turn. So that comes in the warrior two pose, but we're going to start by just raising the arms up, elbows wide. So what we just did, arms out. You can even circle the arms a little bit, so like you're rolling the shoulders back. So you want to take the shoulder up and then back and down. They want to stay kind of back and down, and the inner elbows point up, palms turn down. Now here again, check the neck. Neck should feel quite free. You might find your chest can turn a little bit, like we were just doing, to the left. And then you can look around behind you and look forward. Now, of course, holding it will work on strengthening muscles around the shoulders. So some of those trapezius muscles. But of course, come out when you're ready. So notice your breath. And then when you're ready, step forward. Okay, so let's try that on the other side. So I'll just switch places, and we're going to take the right foot back. Find that nice hip knee ankle alignment, neutral pelvis here. So sitting bones pointing toward the floor. Outer edge of the back foot pressing, keeping maintained on the floor. And then hands to the side of the chest just to feel that rotation. Knee stays still, chest turns a little bit. Hands come there just to kind of let you see how far your chest turns. And come back, and then take the arms up. Elbows wide, elbows bent, arms wide. Roll the shoulders back a few times. Keeping the inner elbow pointing up. Top of the shoulders between the neck and shoulders, upper trapezius, fairly relaxed, and palms might turn down. Now from there you could look around a little bit, make sure the back of the neck stays reasonably long, comfortable. You might even let the chest turn to the right and the arms just follow that movement. And then you take a breath or two. Notice how you feel. Of course, holding will work with a bit of isometric contraction in the muscles, so just working on a bit of strengthening. Step forward. So you can always, obviously, modify all these poses, so you come out sooner if you need to, stay longer if you feel that's okay for you. You might like a little soft forward bend from there. So you can bend the knees, let the head tip forward, let the spine curl down. And remember, if you have osteoporosis, you might just go into the forward bend with a flat back and come out with a flat back. Otherwise, let the head hang, nice decompression for the spine. Breathe in and then uncurling up, uncurling all the way. And we're going to take the arms up, hands down the center. Okay, so we've got one more posture that we'll have a look here, standing pose, so warrior 3. So Virabhadrasana 3. This is a balance, but this is going to work with the shoulders as well, because we're going to take the arms wide. So let me just show you how long you stay in. It depends on you. You could use blocks if you just want to work on the balance. We'd step back. You know, if the balance is our challenge, we might use blocks or hands on a chair seat, and we lift the back leg. Now, what we're trying to establish here is a long back of the neck. So if our back is very rounded, upper back, we might find that the back of the neck is very compressed in that position. And so we're trying to lift and extend through the spine, axial extension from tailbone through to crown of the head. So you could retract the chin in a little bit. Okay, so then from there, once we've done that, you might be able to raise the arms. I need a little bit more room for my arms out to the side. And then when you do that, then you're checking out, do my thumbs point down? And then does the back and the neck tighten? So what we're going to do is roll the shoulders back, maybe point the thumbs up. And we can even just raise the arms a little bit and lower just a tiny bit, just to feel a bit of work going into those back muscles. Okay, and then we come out. So that's what we're going to try. So let's try that when you're ready. So we're going to step the left foot back. We're going to lean forward, take the weight into the front foot. Observe your breath. Use the blocks if you need it to begin with. So try and axial extend, so lengthen from tailbone through to crown of the head. Find your balance, push out through the feet, take the arms out. You might need to turn your thumbs up so the shoulders come away from the ears. Feel the muscles in the back. 1 or 2 breaths. Come out when you're ready. Step forward. We'll try that on the other side. We're just doing it one time each side. Good thing about videos, you can pause it if you want to do a little bit more. So let's take the right foot back. We bring the weight into that front foot. So obviously it's quite a balance this. Try and get the chest parallel to the floor. Press out through the back leg, lengthen out through to the crown of the head. Take the arms wide. Try turning the thumbs up. So the shoulders draw back. We're not overworking the neck muscles or the upper trapezius, but we're working into that lower trapezius. So between the shoulder blade and the spine there, the lower shoulder blade and the spine, I should say. Feel that. You might even lift the arms a little bit. And staying in it, you might find you can find a bit more expansion. But obviously, come out when you're ready. Step forward. Let's take a nice soft turn there. Okay, so we're going to come down now to the floor and take a moment in child's pose. So we're going to bring the knees down, and then if you can, you go into a child's pose position. If that's not comfortable, you can lie on the side and go into your sideline child's pose. And take a moment there. Now, one of the last muscles that we want to work with strengthening is the what's called serratus anterior. So it goes from the inside or the anterior aspect of the shoulder blade around to your ribs. And this, if this is weak, often the shoulder blades kind of wing out. You know, we can't flatten the shoulder blades to the floor, so shoulders come forward, the shoulder blades pop out, and the back of the neck tightens. So again, now we're going to focus on more stability around the shoulders. So this is working towards a plank pose. We only do what we feel is right for us, and we always maintain that. We always notice, how am I feeling here? Do I want to do more? Yes, no. We let our feelings guide us. The starting position would be hands on the floor. So if you've got the hands on the floor, you're going to try and push the chest away from the floor. Now, if there's any wrist issues, you could go into knuckles, but maybe better would be elbows on the floor, and you just push the chest away from the floor. And once you feel the chest pushing away from the floor, you'll notice those shoulder blades will broaden. So that's what we want to feel. And you might even be able to, if you keep the left hand pressing into the floor, you might be able to feel those muscles around the kind of outer edge of the scapula or shoulder blade going down into the side of the ribs. They'll expand out here. They can often be weak. So push away. Now keep the shoulder blades nice and engaged there. Keep long through the back of the neck. And you might even bring a very mild contraction to the front of the pelvic floor. And that will engage the deep transversus abdominis muscles, deep core muscles. And then just try tucking your toes under and just see if you can slowly, do this slowly, just take your right knee off the floor. Toes can be on the floor for a moment. Notice what engages. Keep this steadiness in the shoulders. Bring it down. Take the left knee off the floor. Bring it down. Now, keeping the knees bent like this, can you, and maintaining nice shoulder broadness there, can you take both knees off the floor? Gentle contraction of the front perineum, so near the genitals, and then release it. Take a pause. And that might be enough. That might already be enough. If you want to do more, back to the hands and or the elbows again. So you could always do it on the elbows. This time you might be able to go into a full plank, but again, make sure wrists are happy with this, make sure the back, everything feels happy. But also what we want to check is that if we do go into the full plank, so if we take one leg out and the other leg out, we're trying to make sure that the shoulder blades don't the shoulders don't come up toward the ears and the hips sink down. So then we've lost it all. So that just means there's a lot of weakness there, which means then we probably would do well to strengthen this area a little bit. So you can start with what we did before, toes tucked, pushing the chest away from the floor. Now you could either just stay there. That's stage one. That might be enough, and that probably is enough for a lot of people. So you come out when you're ready. Stage two would be try to lift both knees. And then gentle squeeze of pelvic floor. You might be able to extend out one leg, extend out the other leg, plank, breathe, of course, feel how the deep abdominals will engage. Here you can spread the fingers a little bit, keep the weight going through the whole palm of the hand. And when you need to come out, you come out and take a rest. Okay, so again, I'm not going to do that again. I've done that quite a few times today, but if you want to practice that, pause, have a go again, and you can try that a few times, but don't overdo it. Something like that you might want to bring in regularly to your practice, so you're not suddenly doing loads. You build up the strength gradually. And you can count the breaths. That might be one way to notice whether your muscles are getting stronger. You hold for 5 breaths, second day 6 breaths, and so on. So let's go to the floor. We're going to just finish now, and we'll bring the arms down. We're just going to have the knees bent, so we can just do a little bit of pelvic rocking movement or rolling. We're tipping the pelvis forward, arching the back, and rolling the pelvis backwards, flattening the back. Maybe that even feels easier. Just a few times. Okay, and then if it's possible, we're going to straighten out the legs. We're going into the relaxation now. And if that's not possible, you bring a maybe a yoga bolster or a folded blanket under the knees. So take time to get yourself into the nicest position you can feel, and let your eyes close. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, allow your whole body weight to begin to release onto the floor. And let's see what we notice now in the back of the body. So just noticing where the head meets the floor. Is there any difference? Notice the back of the neck. Does the space between the neck and the floor feel different? Does it feel like a smaller space or bigger space or about the same? Notice the upper back and the thoracic spine. So how much of the thoracic spine is meeting the floor? Notice the back of the shoulders on the floor. Notice the arms. Where do your palms face now? Are they still rolling inwards or downwards? So if we had very tight chest muscles, the shoulders will be lifted off the floor and the arms will roll in. So maybe now we feel more contact with the shoulders on the floor and the palms turned up a little bit, or maybe just turning in toward the side of the body rather than down towards the floor. Okay, now sense into your lower back. Sense into the back of the pelvis, noticing the position of the pelvis. Sensing into the legs. And noticing the legs on the floor. And then as you begin to feel the whole back of the body in contact with the floor, sinking into the floor, allow the front of the body to begin to soften towards the back. So the facial muscles begin to soften. The eyes lose their gripping or their focus, they become unfocused. The jaw begins to relax, maybe even just hanging a little bit. The throat, the shoulders soften. Find softness in the abdomen, in the hips, just by letting go. In the knees and ankles, in the feet and the toes. Sensing your breath moving in and out of your body. And the whole body now completely surrendering with each out breath. So gradually now we can start to bring ourselves back round and take some movement here into the body, and then you can just gradually bring yourself upright. And even in a sitting position, you can notice the position of the head over the chest. So when you go to sitting on your chair, if you're at a desk, or when you're standing, when you're walking, especially when you're running, keep that back of the neck nice and long. Once you're aware of that, then you probably, the rest of the spine is going to lengthen out. So we're going to finish there now, joining the hands together in Anjali Mudra in front of the heart chakra, bowing your head towards your heart. Namaste. And thanks for watching, everyone.